Holly Gambal, 43, had a stroke in 2014 while she was homeless. With treatment, she has worked to rebuild her cognitive skills. Yana Paskova for the New York Times Holly Gambal lay frozen on the floor of the train, unable to move or cry out for help. She was living in New York City's subway system, and had been for many weeks, the night in 2014 that she had a stroke at the 95th Street station in Bay Ridge, Brooklyn. "I was standing, but I collapsed, and I was like a newborn," Ms. Gambal, 43, said recently. "I couldn't articulate any words." Ms. Gambal, who had no insurance, was taken in an ambulance to a nearby hospital. When she was released about 3 months later, she was directed to a nearby nursing home. But off her medication for bipolar disorder and unwilling to accept help, she returned to the streets. "I would just go anywhere," Ms. Gambal said. "In the winter, I would try to find someplace warm, or I slept on the train. It was a really lost time for me." Ms. Gambal grew up in Sunset Park, Brooklyn, in a boisterous household with her mother and a tight-knit extended family. She said she had dabbled in poetry and creative writing as a student at the State University of New York at Purchase, and earned a degree in fine arts from Brooklyn College in 2008. After graduating, she found steady work as an administrator at a law firm. And in her free time she would draw portraits and read A Confederacy of Dunces, John Kennedy Toole's tale of an isolated young man, again and again. Ms. Gambal learned she had bipolar disorder in her early 30s, after she had a mental breakdown at her law firm, she said. She sought medical help but was let go during a round of layoffs. She then began a human resources role at Macy's, and, feeling confident in her progress, decided to go off her medication. Soon after, during the financial crisis, Ms. Gambal again lost her job. She began losing control of her life. Living alone in Brooklyn, she started having paranoid delusions, imagining that her phone was bugged, that she was being stalked, and that her family and friends had turned against her, leading her to cut ties with them. Ms. Gambal said, "It just snowballed out of control," she added. Isolated and with no stable income, she became homeless at age 38. Several months later, feeling constricted and helpless inside a crowded subway car of strangers, Ms. Gambal had the stroke. As a result of the stroke, she walked with a limp and her right hand was numb. Her cognition was impaired, and Ms. Gambal, once outgoing and chatty, could, at first, not speak at all. "I was hearing voices, I wasn't eating properly, and I went off the edge," Ms. Gambal said. "I couldn't take it." She very slowly began figuring out language again by listening to passers-by on the street. And after months of refusing assistance, she checked herself into a hospital for mental treatment for 1 year. From there, Ms. Gambal moved into a homeless shelter in Brooklyn and, once on Medicaid, sought occupational and speech therapy. She began rebuilding her cognitive skills by doing elementary-level math problems and by relearning every letter of the alphabet. Ms. Gambal said she had to relearn even how to write her own name, Holly. Because Ms. Gambal still does not have feeling in her once-dominant right hand, simple actions like washing her hands, zipping her pants, and giving herself a manicure can be challenging. Yana Paskova for the New York Times. "I can't spell anymore," Ms. Gambal said. "It's so frustrating." When she recently needed to write the word September, Ms. Gambal said, she had to search the web. Once the 9 letters appeared on the screen, it took her several tries to put them on paper correctly. "If I have to ask Google how to spell a certain amount of words, it makes me sad," she said. Ms. Gambal has been rebuilding strength in her hand and practicing her writing in a camouflage print notebook she bought at a 99-cent store. She has been chronicling her thoughts, her daily routines, and her hopes for the future. "But words can be hard to find. Sometimes I want to say things but I can't explain it," Ms. Gambal said, emphasizing how self-conscious this makes her feel. "I know what I want to say, but I can't get it out," because she still does not have feeling in her once-dominant hand. Simple actions like washing her hands, zipping her pants, and giving herself a manicure can be challenging. "It feels like it's not even my hand," she said. "It feels like I have a prosthetic hand." In July, Brooklyn Community Services, one of the 8 organizations supported by the New York Times Neediest Cases Fund, used $178 from the fund to buy Ms. Gambal a laptop, on which she has been relearning how to type. Working through typing tests on the computer and writing in her journal have helped her regain mobility in her hand. She tries to write at least 20 minutes each day. She has also resumed reading Toole, this time, the Neon Bible. Until July, she was getting help from a Brooklyn Community Services program, Personalized Recovery-Oriented Services, which supports New Yorkers with mental health conditions in their pursuit of education, job training, and housing. She is also undergoing counseling. Each month, she receives $1,225 in supplemental security disability income and pays $307 toward her room in downtown Brooklyn. She moved in last year, ending her period of homelessness. Ms. Gambal said she would like to find independent housing and be able to work again. For now, she is focused on finding the right words. I'm constantly comparing myself pre-stroke and after stroke, and I have to stop doing that to myself, Ms. Gambal said. I just want to have a normal life.